We are here to talk about masking up or packing up. I promise you, we're doing good so far. Just keep your distance, get your hands washed often, get tested often, and wear your mask.
Elon Musk Friday announced that he would be hiring this new CEO for Twitter, Linda Yaccarino. I hope that I'm getting that right.
It's close enough.
And this has upset people on the right. It's upset some people on the left, namely people on the right. But this is an issue. We talked about this with Tucker Carlson. And we're pretty fortunate here in our partnership with Rumble. Who is more important? The advertiser, and by the way, giant multinational conglomerate, right, corporations who have ESG and woke scores, or you, or the user. And that is going to determine the direction of Twitter. That's one thing that we have. We're incredibly grateful. By the way, you can join up at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. We are actually funded by viewers like you. It's $89 annual. Did you say that we have a discount now for veterans?
I need to put the code in place, but it should be there within about the next week.
We're going to have the code for the next week for veterans or active military. Yep. You don't join up, there's no more show. You see sponsors every now and then. There will never be more than one per show, and these are sponsors that are basically boycott-proof. But this is the issue. We saw with Tucker Carlson. Fox News said, hey, we're going with the advertisers, who, by the way, are not beholden to the audience. You see it with Bud Light. You see it with Miller. They're not actually really, I guess I should say, mentally preoccupied with the idea of you, the user base, the consumer. They say, oh, hold on a second. It's about the dollars. It's about the board. It's about the shares. And this is going to determine the direction of Twitter. Who's more important, the advertiser, and that's what I see, which is most troubling, not just the leftist tendencies, or you, the user. So let's kind of get through. There you go. March 23, just to be clear. They're appointing a new CEO for a few different reasons. Tesla stock has been sort of waning a little bit. It requires more attention from Elon Musk. Part of me thinks this was a billionaire's toy train set, and he sort of got bored of it. Now, the revenue at Twitter, and this is the difference between the revenue versus people using Twitter. The revenue at Twitter fell about 50% because of a massive decline in ad revenue, just to be clear. Now, that is because a lot of woke companies have said, we're not going to advertise on Twitter. Now, that doesn't necessarily correlate with the success of Twitter as a platform, which was its original intent, right, to be a place where people could communicate, because Musk has actually talked about this. New Twitter signups have been at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Right? They were up 66% per day from 2021 to 2022, from November 21 to 2022.
Legit hockey stick graph.
Yeah,
exactly.
66% per day. Now, we don't have the full numbers on the interactions, the daily traffic, but the point is, the 50% decline in advertising does not match the intent of Twitter, which is to be an open forum. So if advertisers are saying, yeah, hold on a second, we don't want to advertise in a place that's an open form of ideas that doesn't censor people and encourages freedom of speech, well, now you have a decision to make. Tell the advertisers to go screw themselves, kind of like us with Google, with YouTube. The only time you ever see random ads if you're watching on YouTube is because someone else has claimed our content, right? The Google AdSense, we don't make $1.
Yeah.
We decided that we would not be beholden to YouTube, Alphabet, Facebook, right? Instagram, at one point, Twitter. And some people decide that that's the business model they want, just on the left and on the right. What matters to us is you. And Twitter has a fork in the road. Is it you, the user, who has determined its direction, and I would say in a largely positive way, or is it the corporations who've decided to cut bait and run? So,
yeah, absolutely. And by the way, some of those ad dollars will come back, because a lot of people right now have been talking about how effective advertising is, especially conservatives that we've talked to have said, hey, advertising is actually pretty effective right now on Twitter. They're actually doing a good job of making some of those corrections. But this is, I think, a misstep by Elon. So we'll get into some of the details why, but you'll see very quickly how this can go off.
Well, they'll come back because of the growing subscriber base.
Yeah.
That's what
that's where eyeballs are.
That's right.
Yeah. And eventually their morals won't matter to them because they never did in the first place.
Yes. Their morals, I mean, their sacrifices to Moloch.
Yeah.
Prior to being named Twitter's new CEO, Yaccarino, let's give you a little bit of a profile here. She was the chairman of global advertising and partnerships at NBC Universal. By the way, we've had a few run-ins with NBC Universal ourselves.
I was about to say, that conservative bastion.
Yes. And according to the Wall Street Journal, Miss Yaccarino has a reputation for hard-nosed negotiating tactics, and media buyers have described her as, quote, the Velvet Hammer. Velvet Hammer, which I actually think was Paul Pelosi's nickname at the nudist colony in Sausalito. So it seems like it all comes back.
Little name tag there on the hair.
And they're going to switch the name of Twitter to Bud Light. So why are people on the right concerned? All right. Well, there are a few reasons. So here's a major complaint that I would say is valid, and then we'll show some clips. Yeah, kind of a biggie. Yaccarino serves as the executive chairman for the Task Force on Future of Work at the World Economic Forum.
Whoops.
Which people do, typically speaking, when it comes to economic forums. I don't like the world one.
No. Is that the Klaus Schwab World Economic?
Yes.
Same one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Not a big fan. But that's just, and all the references, by the way, will be made publicly available. That one is her LinkedIn. So, you can question that if you want, but maybe she's just lying.
It's not honorary. It's active.
I mean, I padded my resume when I was a kid.
Yeah. You didn't put World Economic Forum.
I got to work at the French-Canadian version of Nordstrom's, and they said, "You've worked in retail before?" And I said,
You said, oui.
Yes. Yes. I said, bye, white. So, in case you've forgotten, the World Economic Forum, they're the ones responsible for this. What they viewed as a positive, I guess, sort of I don't know if it's an advertisement, but they put this out there. This is their dystopian vision for the future. This is real.
Agenda 2030.
You'll own nothing, and you'll be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent, and it'll be delivered by drone. So hold on a second. This is my problem with, again, the World Economic Forum. Does nobody own anything? Oh, no, wait. Eventually, someone owns something. Yeah. You want it consolidated to a few mega powers, namely government and the corporations they deem too big to fail.
It's the elites.
Yes.
They get to own everything.
And you'll rent everything.
Yes, because you don't need to own stuff. You'll be happier. Trust us.
You'll be happier.
Less stress.
Yes, the stress of choice.
Mortgages.
Now, listen, I like the drone delivery component of that, but that is all.
I don't like the drone delivery component.
I do.
I don't at all.
I get ice cream delivered every once in a while.
I
by
love
drone.
the
It's
shotgun
fun.
practice.
Kids love it.
You really do?
Yes. It's a test service.
We need to admonish Gerald. Gerald, stop with the drone service, okay? It's unnecessary.
It's fun. Guys, I'm gay. I am not.
So Yaccarino also...
a different way of getting it to your porch.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
nothing special.
It's stupid.
Kids like it.
But it's cool.
Got videos of
well, you're an adult. You're an adult man.
I didn't say I like it.
Yaccarino, by the way, also led an ad council. And this ad council, they had a campaign featuring the Pope. And by the way, when I'm looking to take COVID vaccine advice, I look to the Pope.
Gracias a Dios y al trabajo de muchos, hoy tenemos vacunas para protegernos
Looks like he's had one too many vaccines.
Ellas traen esperanza para acabar la pandemia, pero solo si están disponibles para todos.
Still waiting for that statement on the kid sex. Now,
The Pope was wrong. What about the infallibility, Gerald? Your thoughts?
it's only when speaking on issues of spirituality and only when speaking ex cathedra, because that's somewhere in the back of the Bible.
Somewhere near the back.
Yeah.
What about the two popes that were competing, or the popes that were purchased?
Here's my look, and by the way, I know that a lot of
was that
Catholics
Netflix
out
series.
there obviously don't like the current Pope, just to be clear.
Right, yeah.
But at a certain point, you do have to say, when the Pope is wrong about almost everything else, and I know you're going to say this is a media hitch up. No, it's not. No, it's not. He's been wrong about nearly everything else. Why would he be right on solely issues of spirituality when speaking ex cathedra? If you don't trust him on anything else, if you don't trust him on international recommendations, you don't trust him on tax policy, you don't trust him on issues as it relates to cultural Marxism, you don't trust him on issues as it relates to vaccines. Okay, so we're supposed to believe that he can't even get something right accidentally outside of speaking on issues of spiritual, kind of the most important issues, and only when speaking in this limited capacity. I'm sorry. Look, I again, we have a lot of Catholics who work here, but we also have Catholics who work here. Like Kevin's basically Square Bear is basically Eastern Orthodox. Only he still has to claim that he's Catholic because he does not like this Pope. I'm like, well, you can't just say the Pope is full of it. It's got to be a tough. So my heart goes out to you. It's got to be a tough place to be right now when this guy is the Pope, and not all popes have been that way. This is
it's true.
A significant veering. I don't know enough about Ratzinger. I know he was German.
That's about all you need to know.
Now, this broad, I keep forgetting her, Yaccarino. Yaccarino. She's always yakking, this broad. She was also a huge proponent of masking in 2021.
We are here to talk about masking up or packing up. I promise you, we're doing good so far. Just keep your distance, get your hands washed often, get tested often, and wear your mask. That'll get us closer and closer to normal days.
Just to be clear, mask up or pack up means you better wear a mask or you're going to be fired.
Yes, there you go. And
Get your hands washed.
Yeah, depending on when that was released in 2021, that matters.
Yeah.
Beginning of 21, less offensive. But I'm sorry, I don't know that I give people a whole lot of a pass here, because at the end of 2020, we were starting to go, this is really widespread opening.
Right.
Should be happening again.
We were back to normal here.
Yeah, we were in the great state of Texas,
Yeah.
but a lot of other places were not. But 21?
I still see a lot of people with masks out in public. Hey, that's a question for you guys. You still see people with masks, and how do you converse with them? I always say, thanks for keeping me safe if you're sick.
There you go.
They
I
say,
look at
what?
them
They
with-
say, I'm not sick. I go, then why are you wearing a mask? Now, there is science to show that if you are sick, that wearing a mask can probably help, because, again, it's right up against your filthy grill to help prevent the spread of droplets. There's some science. Yes, there is some science there, but, again,
science.
not if it's being reused and not if it's not properly fitted. But it does not help you at all. The science is quite settled. It does not help you avoid getting COVID, or in this case, the flu. So when I see people with a mask go, oh, feeling sick? And if they say no, I just go,
I look at them with horror on my face, like they're about to knock over the Kroger. I saw a guy the other day with a bandana on his face walking around. I was like, what are you?
well, no, yeah, that was a member of MS-13.
That's all. Okay.
Yes. I was going to say Crips, but that's better.
You have to go by the face tattoos sometimes.
Teardrops.
Yes.
Yeah, neck tattoo.
So, pack up or mask up. That means I'll fire you if you don't mask. And by the way, she's also used her platform. This is what's most disturbing to me. And then I'll get to her censorship stances to push for the, we use the term DEI. It's diversity, equity, inclusion agendas. Now, listen to the numbers at the end of this clip, and they just aren't even feasible.
Under the leadership of Brian Roberts and Jeff Shell, Comcast set up a fund to the value of $100 million to fight social justice and equality, and obviously supporting many, many important groups. So then we had to make sure we were taking the right steps to direct funds towards the right organizations, to make a public statement of accountability, like Cesar Conde, our new chairman of News, who made a public statement that was confronting editorial bias and saying, my division, our news division, the biggest news division in the country, is going to be 50% women and 50% people of color.
Yeah, also, 50% women. Wait, was she talking about brewing? And 50% people of color. Okay, so you're going to have to draw 50%. By the way, that's 100%. If she meant 50% both women and people of color, that's a stupid statement either way. The math doesn't make sense. 12% of the population, if we're talking about the United States, are going to make up 50% of people in a a hyperly specialized field of work.
Yeah, well,
the news division. And by the way, that won't even be representative of the American populace at large.
No, and well, she didn't say what color. She just said people of color.
Oh, okay. That can include anybody.
It's mostly.
But in that 12% are men, elderly, children.
Right.
So that number is
Well, that's also
4%.
fair. But that shouldn't be the way that you try to structure an organization.
She wants to have a news division of entirely black children.
You know what I want? I want to make sure that it's a level playing field and that the best people end up getting the jobs. There you go.
Well, in her defense, I think she was confused. She thought WEF was WWE. Did you see that belt over her shoulder?
I think that was a Wonder Woman belt.
Okay.
She's a moron.
Was that in that clip?
Go back to that.
Yeah.
Is it this clip? Let me see. The belt over her shoulder?
Amongst all the awards.
That's the Intercontinental
Oh, yeah,
Championship.
that is. That's a professional wrestling
That's
belt.
the Intercontinental Championship right there.
Let me tell you about the World Economic Forum. The cream's gonna rise to the top. Yeah. Yaccarino is Italian for one who won't shut the fuck up. Yeah.
I just set him up. That's what I do. Wind him up.
Little Ultimate Warrior action.
Yeah.
I'm Yaccarino. Welcome to Wide World, where nightmares are the best part of my day.
Good stuff.
At the end of that, though, she did do a little. And she has the Hogan stash. Bleaching it doesn't work, sweetheart. Now,
But really, she has no worldview. She has no values. You can tell. You know, Dennis Miller says, someone of that age, you've lived an asshole's life.
Yes.
You haven't thought about such things. She just floats from one side to the other. She doesn't care. Now she's working for Twitter. She'll develop some worldview that'll be comfortable for her there. I mean, unbelievable how she's...
although she does seem to have a worldview, this is very disconcerting, on the idea of freedom of speech. And this goes to the point that we made earlier. Do you understand there's a huge gap and a difference between the advertisers, the woke corporations with the ESG scores, and you? the viewer, the user. And I really was happy. By the way, some people were reaching out going like, oh, if Twitter's going to do streaming, is that bad for Rumble? No, I want to see, for example, let's say Tucker Carlson is streaming on Twitter. He may or may not end up streaming on Rumble. I want him to do well, and I want Twitter to do well, and I want Rumble to do well. I want everyone to do well, not named YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Just to be clear, there need to be viable alternatives. Yeah. We lived through the dark ages where everyone said, well, you just have to go to YouTube. And now the vast majority of you watch on Rumble or on Mug Club. That, to me, and by the way, we were willing to take a 50% haircut on viewership in migrating everyone over from YouTube. Instead, you guys increased. That shows how ready you were for an exodus. So I want all these places to do well. A little concerned of the direction of Twitter, though, because here is this woman discussing her views on free speech. And again, she talks about not the user, not what you, the people, want, what the giant advertising corporations want.
If I were to say, yes, you can influence me, that would be wrong. That would be very wrong. Because that would be a diminishment of freedom of speech.
But I want to be specific about influencing. It's more of an open feedback loop for the advertising experts in this room to help develop Twitter into a place where they will be excited about investing more money. Product development, ad safety, content moderation.
Yeah, because that's how you're going to create the best platform. Is with a group of advertising executives deciding to sanitize it and shape it in the image of what they would like to see. A bunch of multimillionaires in a room at a board meeting. That's what's going to make Twitter the cool place that kids want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Pharmaceutical company.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sure what they want is what the Pope said and what her policy was at NBC Universal.
Yes, exactly. I want a Johnson & Johnson social media site.
She basically, I mean, that's actually making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, because Elon Musk was right. If I allow you to influence me, that would be wrong, because then that would diminish freedom of speech, which is what I'm all about. And she's like, well, hold on, don't think about it like that. And then she describes the diminishment of freedom of speech in a different way and says it's okay.
Yes.
Like, that's the part where I'm like, she does get it.
Right.
She understands exactly what she's saying. Content moderation for ad-friendly. Make it into a place they feel comfortable. They have the power, not you.
And by the way, when it's only a few companies, just to give you some inside baseball here. Matter of fact, we can include on Mug Club why the left is upset.
Yeah.
But just to give you a little bit of inside baseball. First, let me go to the difference between Turkish government, Twitter, and Rumble. But I think this is pretty important. This is what we lived through with YouTube, by the way. And this is why I am so vehement in the fact that the right needs to be, they need to divest. They need to uncouple from big tech companies. And I don't care how you do it. Is when you have, let's say, five companies basically are in charge of all media, right? You have NBC Universal, you have ABC Disney, you have Comcast, Viacom, News Corp. Let's call it 5, 6, 7 companies. Okay. And then they are trying to get into your news feed, into your whatever, your algorithmic feed. Now, it's not even a news feed on Facebook, on YouTube. Guess what? They spend the advertising dollars. So now you have a platform that is beholden to 5 or 6 companies who, by the way, have regular meetings in a room with each other. It doesn't require a crazy conspiracy theory to say, hold on a second, it seems like these companies may be in cahoots if they all removed Alex Jones the same day. So then these people dictate the advertising. Remember, we had a conversation with CEOs, executives at YouTube. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, there's no community guidelines, but strikes. And we would say, though, you're not advertiser friendly, but we're creating this new rule, borderline content. And I said, hold on a second. You are talking to an advertiser on YouTube. They said, what? I said, it's one of the only places that I spend money to advertise our channel. Hey, subscribe to my channel. I said, and I can't actually target or reach people who I would like to reach. For example, I would like to reach people who are interested in the Second Amendment. And by the way, I would like to be able to determine who advertises on my channel. I said, would this be a solution to YouTube? They said, not advertiser friendly. I said, well, what about firearm company? Well, we can't do that. Okay, well, what about companies that might sell firearm accessories? No. Okay, what about companies that may be, for example, particularly freedom-minded? Well, those companies don't exist. Hold on a second. How about you create a solution where you pair my channel with companies who would actually pay a premium to advertise in that 18 to 45 demo and recognize that these people are more conservative? We've ended up doing that with sponsors who, by the way, never leave because of your purchasing power. YouTube said, well, that's not really how it works. What does that mean? It means the advertising is algorithmic and it is determined by a handful of companies, all of whom are beholden to places like the WEF and international conglomerates and the ESG score and woke bullshit. They're not interested in actually pairing advertisers with the right users. They want to manipulate and engineer the behavior of the users. And that's why I have a problem when conservatives say, well, if you can't beat them, join them. No. If you can't beat them, try harder and make them wish they picked somebody else. I've been on both sides of advertising and receiving advertising dollars. Now, we have not received advertising dollars on YouTube or any major social media outlet for, is it 4? Is it 5 years now? I know how it works. It's a rigged game. And so when someone is saying the people who are rigging the game need to be granted more power, that's a problem. And it's very clear with this lady's language that that's what she's interested in doing. And also, just to be clear, here's another misstep with Twitter that I'm concerned with. Son of a bitch! I completely forgot about that one. Good for you, Tim.
He didn't.
He drank his coffee this morning. So, at the behest of the Turkish government, and I think Elon has largely been a positive force, certainly for Twitter.
Correct.
But Twitter agreed to restrict access to some tweets from the Turkish government at their request during the presidential election. And this is actually a quote responding to online criticism from Matt Iglesias. Musk tweeted, "Did your brain fall out of your head, Iglesias? The choice is have Twitter throttled in its entirety or limit access to some tweets. Which one do you want?" Now, this is important because we have a direct contrast. And again, I would love to see Twitter do well and I would love to see Rumble do well. But people are asked, you want to know why we partnered with Rumble? And you want to know what excites me? With Rumble, if you have kids, they should leave, okay? Because I'm just going to... It's like Donald Trump is this with the vote. It's the fuck you platform. So when Elon Musk says, he's basically saying, I was just doing my job. You said you would kill me last. He says, what are you stupid? Did your brain fall out of your head, Iglesias? The choice is to have Twitter throttled in its entirety or limit access to some tweets. Which one do you want? Rumble had that exact same scenario. Yeah. They were demanded by France to remove Russia Today as a channel or any of its content from their platform, and they said, okay. Well, then you're just going to have to remove Rumble as a platform. They issued a statement saying, recently, the French government demanded that we remove certain Russian news sources from Rumble. As part of our mission to restore a free and open internet, we have committed not to move the goalposts on our content policies.
Here. Yeah.
So one response from Elon Musk, what would you have us do? Exactly what Rumble did. Rumble said, all right, the French government, how about that? Okay, how about, I'm sorry, I'm at this and this. That's what Rumble said. And as a consequence, Rumble was banned, at least for a period of time. I don't know if they still are.
Right.
In all of France, you cannot set the precedent. Do you have any idea what that's going... You're kowtowing to the Turkish government? What's going to happen with China?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, this is during an election season. Like, you don't do what the government wants you to do in a tight election. No. It means censoring certain points of view just because you think a little bit of Twitter is better. No, it's not. You know why? A little bit of Twitter makes you think that there is honesty.
Right.
If you've got Twitter still there, you're thinking, okay, well, Twitter's still the free speech platform. Maybe I didn't hear the story about them banning a couple of accounts or maybe these dozens of tweets maybe I didn't hear all that, and I think I'm getting the full truth, but I'm not. It's where we are today. It is the blueprint for censorship. Golly, did I have a stroke? Did I, Joe Biden?
You maybe did.
I don't know, man. I just think you should have some Twitter.
Yeah, I think you should have some Twitter.
Maybe.
Oh, what are we doing?
And Texas is bigger than France anyway.
Yeah,
no, they really don't. They don't matter. It's not enough people to matter. Make a difference. No, they don't make a difference. They don't make a difference.
They're too busy making wine and eating cheese.
No, they'll come begging for Twitter soon. I mean,
yeah, Rumble. You mean.
Rumble.
Yeah,
they come
they still
begging
have
for Rumble, and yeah, of course they still.
Look, you can't do this. You can't kowtow to these other governments, and I understand what some of you are going to say. Like, well, hold on a second. Russia Today is partially funded by the Kremlin, Russia propaganda. Okay, sure, but again, the point of view from Rumble is also anti-Russia Today channels are allowed on Rumble.
Right.
It's an open discourse. What's more damaging than is lies or mistruths are half-truths. And that's what Twitter is doing with, I'm using the word correctly, being in collusion to a degree with the Turkish government. So it doesn't just exist in this vacuum of, well, hold on, is there... No, we have precedent. Rumble told France to go screw themselves. And Elon Musk is already starting from the point of view of, well, what do you want? Some Twitter or no Twitter? I think as it relates to Turkey, they get no Twitter. How about that? You know what? If you don't finish your dinner, you don't get your snow cone. Okay, Turkish government, you don't allow freedom for everyone, then you get no Twitter. That needs to happen enough where these governments then understand, hold on a second, we can't just keep calling the shots. Do you have any idea how many tweets that I have or did for a long time that are not available in Germany because it's in violation of German speech laws?
Or Pakistan, man. They
Pakistan.
Positively want to hang you over
I just think Pakistan should have no Steven Crowder Twitter. You can follow me at @SCrowder. Let me know if in Pakistan you get any of it. I would be very surprised.
But basically, look, if Twitter had taken a stand, this is Elon, look, this is the playbook. If you take a stand in Turkey and say, no, we're not self-censoring, either the government backs down and you win, free speech wins, or you get banned and the people see it in broad daylight.
Exactly.
That their government is banning speech, and maybe that leads to change in the government, not the appeasement strategy that you just put in play.
That's good.
That's absolutely right. And I think that combined with the fact that this woman is very clearly more interested in creating Twitter and social media platforms and the new world, because let's be honest, that's where people often live. That's where people exchange information. It's a digital town square. She wants to rebuild that in the image of what advertisers want as opposed to what you, the user, the viewer wants. You are true north. You are true north. The moment that you say, you know what, we're done, I'll go retire and I'll go do something else. We've talked about this. Half the stuff that you see here was pitched at some point when I was at Fox News or at any of the networks, and no, that's never going to work. You have decided to make it work because you are true. And I think that's why this show is very different, and that's why we're really happy to be in a partnership with Rumble, and I hope that Twitter gets their shit together, and I hope that there's healthy competition.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.